The Asus ZenFone Max Pro M1 grabbed everyone's attention in the budget segment. And now, for its successor, the company has opted for the same formula but has made it spicier. Because for the ZenFone Max Pro M2, it has opted for the Qualcomm Snapdragon 660 SoC. And with prices starting at just 12,999 rupees, has it managed to take out all of its competitors? Well, we're about to find out. Asus has given the Max Pro M2 a flashy paint job which makes it easy to distinguish from the phone it replaces. There's a laminated back which gives it a glossy finish. This picks up smudges quite easily though. Like most other smartphones at this price point, the frame is made out of plastic. The ZenFone Max Pro M2 has a dual camera setup at the back with a single LED flash. The fingerprint scanner is positioned at the center and is easy to reach. It sports a 6.26-inch Full HD display with a notch at the top, which gives it a 19:9 aspect ratio. The notch houses the selfie camera, a couple of sensors, and a selfie fill light. It also gets Corning Gorilla Glass 6 on top, which is first in this price segment. With 450 nits of brightness, the screen is quite legible under sunlight. The display overall has good viewing angles and can reproduce 94% of the NTSC color gamut. The ZenFone Max Pro M2 has thin bezels at the sides and the top, but the bottom bezel is comparatively thicker. Asus has curved the sides of the ZenFone Max Pro M2, which makes it comfortable to hold. What is surprising is that the phone does not feel heavy or bulky in spite of the big battery. It boasts a Qualcomm Snapdragon 660 SoC, which is similar to the one powering the Xiaomi Mi A2, Realme 2 Pro, and the Vivo V9 Pro. There are multiple RAM and storage variants. You can choose between 3GB RAM, 32GB storage, 4GB RAM, 64GB storage, which is the one we are using for this review. And there's also a variant with 6GB of RAM and 64GB of storage. Storage on all these is expandable via a dedicated microSD card slot. There is support for 4G as well as VoLTE on both SIM slots. Asus has favored stock Android over its custom Zen UI skin, which should please Android purists. At the same time, this also helps Asus roll out software updates faster for this device. The company ships this smartphone with Android 8.1 Oreo, but has promised to roll out an Android Pie update in January 2019. It also runs the October security patch, which is acceptable. The ZenFone Max Pro M2 offers snappy performance thanks to the fast processor and stock Android combination. We did not find any lag or stutter on our unit while scrolling through the menus and while multitasking. You can use the fingerprint scanner at the back or face recognition to unlock the smartphone. During our time with the device, we found the scanner to be a little slow to unlock the device. Also, unlike most smartphones with a notch, we couldn't find a setting to run apps in full screen mode. As a result, supported apps including Google Maps ran full screen, while the others ran with areas to the sides of the notch blacked out. We ran a couple of benchmarks on the ZenFone Max Pro M2 to see how it performs against the competition. These scores were marginally lower than the Xiaomi Mi A2, and compared to the Realme U1, the ZenFone Max Pro M2 scored lower in the CPU test but outperforms it in the GPU tests. Games like PUBG Mobile ran at the medium setting with the graphics set at balanced and frame rate set to medium. We were able to play the game without any lag or dropped frames. After 25 minutes of gameplay, the phone did get slightly warm to the touch. Battery life is excellent on the device thanks to the big 5000 mAh battery on board. In our HD video loop test, the phone went on for 17 hours and 58 minutes. With our higher than regular usage, the phone ended the day with 55% in the tank. When we did plug it in, the supplied 10-watt charger was able to charge it to 52% in an hour. We enjoyed watching videos and gaming on the smartphone and found that the bottom firing speaker is quite loud. Asus has upgraded the camera setup on the ZenFone Max Pro M2. You get a dual camera setup with a 12-megapixel primary camera and a 5-megapixel depth sensor. At the front, it has a 13-megapixel sensor. The camera app is simple and easy to use. There are quick toggles for shooting modes, beautification, depth effect, and flash settings. You also get the option to apply filters right before you take an image. There is a Pro mode that lets you adjust focus, shutter speed, ISO, exposure, as well as white balance. AI scene detection isn't available at the moment, but Asus has promised an update in December which will bring it to the ZenFone Max Pro M2 along with EIS and bokeh mode for the front camera. While shooting with the ZenFone Max Pro M2, we observed that it did not set the exposure right in a couple of scenes. For example, a few of our test shots taken during the day came out overexposed. It manages good color reproduction, but it does miss out on a few details of objects at a distance. Macros have better detail and the phone does a good job at separating the subject from the background. Portrait mode is easy to enable and gives you the option to set the level of blur required. The output has good edge detection but looks artificial when set at the highest level of blur. HDR mode still needs some work as it could take care of the brighter areas in the scene but lost out on details in the shadows. Low light camera performance is average and the phone does not switch to night mode automatically. While clicking landscape shots, the phone takes slightly more time before saving the image. The output is acceptable as is, but you will notice a drop in details when you zoom into the image. Selfies are good and face detection ensures that faces aren't blurred when clicking a group selfie. Beautification is also available, which lets you select the level of beautification required and smoothens the output accordingly. Video recording maxes out at 4K for the primary camera and 1080p for the selfie shootout. Video stabilization is available at 1080p and the phone does a good job of reducing shakes. The Asus ZenFone Max Pro M2 has some big shoes to fill. As its predecessor, the ZenFone Max Pro M1 has been a strong presence in this segment. Asus has definitely got our attention by giving this phone a powerful Qualcomm Snapdragon 660 SoC and a big 5000 mAh battery. Performance and battery life are both very good, but if cameras are a priority for you, the Realme 2 Pro has an edge here. If you are choosing between these two phones, you also have to consider the advantages of stock Android as opposed to the custom ColorOS UI. Asus seems to have gotten the pricing right with the ZenFone Max Pro M2. Starting at 12,999 rupees, you can't really go wrong with the device. The device we reviewed is priced at 14,999 rupees, which is similar to a similarly spec'd Realme 2 Pro and the Realme U1. Now, if Asus sticks to its promise of updates, it will provide more value down the line than it currently does. And that was our review of the Asus ZenFone Max Pro M2. What do you guys think about this device? Let us know in the comment section below. And as always, for all things tech, stay tuned to gadgets360.com.